Hi, I'm Joni Spencer, Editor-in-Chief for the Commercial Baking Media Group, and I'm here at the BEMA convention talking with Stephen Marquardt with Zeppelin Systems USA. And in this Tech Talk, we are going to be discussing prehydration and Zeppelin Systems DymoMix. Hi, Stephen.
Hi, Joni.
Thanks for talking with me today.
Well, thanks for having me here. Thank you.
I am excited to learn about hydration and prehydration and Zeppelin's DymoMix technology. I'm going to start with just the very basic question. What is hydration and how is it measured?
Okay, when we talk about hydration, there's different ways. I mean, the way how the bakers think about it is that bakers often talk about the percentage of the hydration, which means of the dough or baker's percent water. That's what when they talk about hydration. But hydration is really the percentage of all the liquids calculated against the flour content. That's what it is. And I can give you an example for on most dry doughs, like on a bagel dough or pretzel doughs. The doughs are hydrated with around about 50 to 57% and with water. And then while most of the bread doughs, which is really good for bread doughs, are in the range around 58 to 65% of water hydration. So when you do this, when you calculate that, it's very simple. So what you do is you divide the weight of all the liquids by the weight of all flours. We sometimes it could be more than one flour type. So you take that and then you multiply the result by 100. So that's your percentage then.
Okay, so then let's talk about the prehydration stage in the process. So what are some of the benefits of prehydration in the baking process?
Well, when your baked goods are properly hydrated in the mixing stage, you will see really big improvements in areas like yield, mix time reductions. You have gluten development much better. You have a much better texture, and product consistency is always there. And you have also a longer shelf life.
Wow. So prehydration actually helps in production efficiency, but it also helps with product quality as well.
Correct.
Okay, so what are some of the key aspects of that? How does it, in the process, help with those things?
Well, the key is it's a full and instant hydration. With a proper hydration, you can actually, as I mentioned before, you have a much better gluten development, or the gluten can perform to its full potential, and it increase your product quality and consistency there. So with an increased bond of water, the shelf life also could be much longer. So that's the feedback we pretty much get from the industry.
So there are several different ways that a baker can prehydrate, but today we're going to talk about the DymoMix. So how exactly does the DymoMix work?
Well, the DymoMix is first of all, is a very compact unit, and the DymoMix is a unit which is very efficient. And what we do is we're using the DymoMix for blending dry ingredients with liquids. That's pretty much what we do. So how does it work? So the DymoMix is actually a mechanical controlled hydration unit. So in other words, there's no extra pressure required. Some in the industry use a very high pressure to bond the water with the flour. And for the infeed of the liquids, this is what they do. And we work with a gravimetrical and centrifugal force only.
Okay.
So that's how we work with it. So which also allows us to hydrate as low as from 10% up to 150%.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, yeah, the unit was actually designed in the old days, was designed for dust-free flour. So that's how we came up with that idea, and that's the reason why we actually can go from low as 10% up to 150%.
So how much R&D has gone into what DymoMix's capabilities are now versus when it was first developed?
Well, it continued, as I said before, it was actually designed for dust-free flour type, because when a long time ago, it was in the 80s, the government approached us in Germany and said, hey guys, we have a huge issue here with the bakeries. They are inhaling a lot of flour, the bakers and so on. So this is how the development started with this whole unit, and we actually came up with an idea where we actually can bond water particles with flour particles. So we make out of microparticles, we make bigger particles, and then you have no more dust. So it's almost 99.9% dust-free. So
Oh, wow. So
it's an interesting subject. But the development moved on, and then we saw this kind of sleeping prince sitting there. We said, how can we continue with that? And that's how we continued, and we did a lot of testing and so on, and then we found out that this is actually a really good unit for increasing product qualities, especially in the baking industry.
okay, so when you think about prehydration as part of the mixing process, and then we talk about the DymoMix as a piece of equipment, how does the DymoMix fit into the operation?
Well, there's different demands. There are sometimes bakers, we do tests with them, and then they say, well, we already have a bakery in place, and how can we integrate that? So usually the DymoMix, where it's best is where you integrate it is right from between the scale hopper, where you have your flours and minors all together, and then you run this through the DymoMix straight into the mixing bowl. That's the ideal production side, or that's the best spot to put it in. There's other ways where we also do prehydration is on liquid sponge systems, for example, or sponge and dough systems where we use the DymoMix. So it can be added in different areas. It's, as I said before, it's a very compact design, and it fits easily in.
And so that can be a big issue for bakeries with a very small footprint in their operation. So DymoMix is helping bakers add this prehydration step without adding any square footage, correct?
Well, you add a little bit height to it because imagine you have the unit sits right underneath the scale hopper, but as I explained before, the unit will be fit with a screw, and then from there you go straight into the mixing bowl. And so that's pretty much it. You add a little bit to it, but not much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. What are some of the advantages to using DymoMix for prehydration?
Well, I think when you look at the point of view from health, we actually create a dust-free environment because you prehydrate everything from the scale hopper into the mixing bowl. So there is no more dust. Usually you dump the flour or minor ingredients into the mixing bowl and you generate a lot of dust. Through the DymoMix, you don't have that anymore. That's a huge advantage. We do reduce the mix time, of course, because the mixing is already done. It's prehydrated, so you can go straight into your high-speed mixing. We lower the dough temperature. We know it's around about 3 degrees Celsius. We actually have a lower dough temperature. And we increase the hydration up to 5%. And also huge is, of course, is the energy cost. You have huge energy cost savings versus normal operation when you do mixing in your mixer itself.
Okay, so how does it decrease the energy costs?
Well, it's the motor on it. We have a 10 horsepower motor versus a 40 horsepower or 50 horsepower motor on a mixer. So there is a huge energy cost savings, and you have a constant energy input versus like a mixer. You have these peaks where you start and stop these mixers.
So do you have any success stories of customers who have been successful with DymoMix?
Yeah, the latest success we had was really surprising for us is we put in a DymoMix system and to replace actually a normal horizontal mixer for the production of sponge and dough. So in other words, we use only the DymoMix to produce sponge and dough. So we go from the DymoMix straight into that mixing bowl, and then they take that sponge and dough and go into the fermentation. So what happened there is the result we saw was absolutely great because we were able to increase the yield between 1.2 to 1.3%, and so in other words, we added 4% more water, which is a lot.
Yeah.
You know, I mean 4%. You can imagine you need less flour, and then we reduced also the yeast content by 0.5%.
Oh wow!
So that's a pretty good result, and the payback is enormous.
So what specific product applications does DymoMix work best for?
Well, in the baking industry, when we talk about fresh baked good industry, it's definitely good for bread doughs and rolls and buns and bagels. And as I said before too, is also we use it for liquid sponges or for sponge and doughs.
Okay, so really almost any dough application could benefit from using DymoMix.
When you use wheat flour, yes, definitely. Where you have gluten development, that's what I would say that's the best way you can get the best result out of it, yes.
Okay. How can a baker learn more about DymoMix and its applications?
Yeah, so of course you can visit us on our website at Zeppelin-Systems.com. And also important, upcoming IBIE next year, September, we will have the DymoMix on our booth. Maybe even a demonstration there on the booth together with a mixer supplier. We're not sure yet.
Okay, yeah, I've been to some international trade shows where Zeppelin was exhibiting, and you have outstanding demonstrations with your DymoMix, so I'm really excited about that.
Yes.
So we'll get ready for IBIE, and in the meantime, you can visit Zeppelin-Systems.com. Stephen, thank you so much for taking time to talk to me. This has been really interesting.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. Thank you.